Intel Core Ultra 5 236V Lunar Lake CPU spotted on Geekbench, entry-level 17 watts chip for thin and light laptops. A Lenovo laptop based on Intel's Core Ultra 5 236V Lunar Lake CPU was benchmarked on Geekbench today. The 8-core Intel Core Ultra 5 236V Lunar Lake CPU shows up inside a Lenovo-based laptop. This is neither the first nor the last time we are getting leaks about Intel Lunar Lake CPUs. Roughly 2 weeks back, we saw the performance of Core Ultra 5 256V on Geekbench, outperforming Ryzen 8840HS convincingly in both single and multi-core tests. This time, we have the leaked benchmark numbers of the Intel Core Ultra 5 236V CPU. The processor is from the Ultra 5 200V series we are seeing in action, used inside a Lenovo laptop planned for release soon. The Intel Core Ultra 5 236V scored 2021 in single-core and 5,743 points in multi-core tests. The operating system was Windows 11 Pro, and as we can see from the specs, it boasts a base clock frequency of 2.10 GHz. It is an 8-core/8-thread chip with a maximum frequency of 4.67 GHz, 4,668 MHz to be precise, coinciding with what is known from the specifications of the Core Ultra 200V lineup. Compared to the Core Ultra 256V, it has a 4 MB less L3 cache, 8 MB versus 12 MB on 256V, and slightly slower base boost clocks. Despite the same core thread count, the performance seems to be pretty lackluster compared to what we have seen on the higher-end chips like 256V and 268V. This is probably due to the lower clock speeds as well as the smaller L3 cache size. However, unlike the insignificant performance difference between the Core Ultra 7 256V and Core Ultra 7 268V as seen on Geekbench, the 236V is roughly 45 to 50% slower than both in multi-core tests. We do not know if the CPU was benchmarked on the balanced, high-performance, or power-saver plan due to the absence of such information, and we probably would need a few more benchmark results to conclude. It is also likely that this could be an early engineering sample or a very lowly configured test platform. However, do keep in mind that Geekbench isn't the best option to calculate the exact performance of a CPU. The Intel Core Ultra 7 268V lost to 256V on Geekbench multi-core performance by a small margin, which shouldn't happen since 268V features higher clock speeds. Still, the performance numbers gave a pretty decent idea of where the Core Ultra 5 200V SKUs would stand against the Core Ultra 7 200V chips. That said, the single-core performance of Core Ultra 5 236V looks somewhat better by being 30 to 35% slower than 256V if we take all the different benchmarks of the latter in Geekbench. Intel's Lunar Lake Core Ultra 200V CPU family is built for power-efficient laptops with most of its SKUs operating in the 17 watts/30 watts power range. According to Intel's official PR, Lunar Lake is set to launch in Q3 2024, with September being the most likely launch month, which means we are going to see more such benchmarks just days before the official launch. We have already covered Lunar Lake architecture and detail previously, which explains its advanced and efficient SoC design, featuring Lion Cove P-core and Sky Monte core architectures, and Intel Arc-based graphics.